hate a messaging app? Well, sure as hell don't ask Google, because after 17 years of making them, they still can't get it right. Yeah, Android's always put on a pedestal for giving users more choice, but I think this one's a little bit too far. Google is infamous for all their messaging apps, and in 2013, they tried to unify them all. How do you think that went for them? So today I'm going to rank all of them, including their video calling apps, from S being the best, F being the worst, and the most unnecessary. Okay, so this was Google's first messaging app, launched in 2005. You could direct message people, make voice and video calls even. That was a thing back then. The UI was basic, but that's actually what made it so popular back then, because other messaging apps like AOL at the time were filled with banner ads. Google Talk didn't have any ads. Without this monetization, Talk probably wasn't that sustainable for Google. It probably wasn't making them that much money, which makes it all the more surprising to hear that it lasted until 2017. Updates were regular. It had avatars, file uploads, voicemails, music status sharing, so you can show off how much Weezer you listen to, even the ability to dial landline numbers from your computer. Overall, it's funny how a messaging service like Google Talk, which launched in 2005, the Stone Age, had more features than a lot of the other messaging apps on this list. Talk gets a strong B from me. Voice launched in 2009 and it gave users their own telephone number. One of the coolest features it had was voicemail transcription. It wasn't amazing, but it was 2009. The same year, Paul Blart Mall Cop came out. Can we get a round of applause? It was and still is a basic service. You can do conference calls, VoIP calls, and send texts. That's it. I'm putting this one at a low C. Wave was just weird. It was like an email and messaging hybrid. Like, what the hell is all of this? Yeah, good luck getting this design on mobile. I promise I won't judge you ever again, Google. Wave was basically meant to be a reimagining of what email would look like in the future. It let you create messaging threads, and the whole thing was basically just a collaborative Google Doc. You could add or remove people to the threads, and receivers could add replies to any part of the thread. For some reason, they decided to give you a notification every single time someone made an edit to a wave, which is probably why it didn't really take off. It just bloated people's inboxes. It was just too confusing for people to switch to waves, and it didn't really have any perks, just create a Google Doc. It was absolutely a gimmick, and Google decided to shut it down just 15 months after it launched, which, it's sad, but I wouldn't use this if it was created today. But that's not to say it didn't have some innovations, like gadgets you could add in your waves. For example, you can drag in a yes, no, or maybe gadget that works sort of like a poll. Even dynamic maps inline. You still can't do that on Google Docs today. It had a lot of features, just not much incentive. So I'm giving a wave a strong C. Buzz. Buzz was insane. So this was released in 2010. At the time, Gmail was absolutely booming. It had 200 million users. So one day in February, Google released Buzz. It was a messaging and social networking app built into Gmail. And they just kind of released it without telling users. It created a profile for each user and automatically made them follow their most emailed contacts. Now, this list of following was public. That could expose all sorts of things like significant others, doctors, all that stuff. All this without the user even signing up. Then Google says, how can we make our users hate us even more? That's right, we'll spam them with an email every single time someone interacts with you on Buzz, even though barely anyone was using it. It was just taking up a massive tab in Gmail. Privacy was a nightmare, just as a cherry on top. If you tagged posts with your location, it wouldn't be shown to just your friends. It would be shown to every other Google buzzer that was in that area. It was complicated to even make your account private and damn near impossible to opt out. Because it was impossible to opt out for the first few days, the platform copped backlash from millions. In one case, the service thought it'd be a good idea to automatically reconnect her with her abusive ex-husband, which threatened her safety. Google, innovation that excites. Yeah, Buzz was awful. I'm just glad it shut down the very next year. It did not last long at all. It blurred the line between social media with your friends and work emails with your colleagues, and those things should never be mixed. This one's an F, and I'm not paying my respects. So, Disco, I had no idea this one even existed, but it was a group messaging app created in 2011. It lacked location sharing, read receipts, group calling, it was dead in the water. Who would use this? Conversations didn't even happen in the app. They worked through SMS, which means every message counted towards your mobile data bill. Disco was really basic. It was not popular at all. There's like no information whatsoever on this thing. This one's getting a D. Google Plus Hangouts is not to be confused with Google Plus, Google Hangouts, or Google Hangouts Chat, which would later be renamed to Google Chat. Hangouts was just a video chat app where you could make calls with up to 10 people. It was pretty good at the time. This was a very simple app, but it had one cool feature. It was called Hangouts on Air, where it would broadcast your conversation onto a YouTube live stream, so you could have your own video podcast. So that's pretty cool. This one's getting a B. Hey, remember Google Plus? Yeah, sometimes I too think about mortality, but do you remember Google Huddle? Probably not, because it was renamed to like Google Plus Messenger a couple months after it launched because of a lawsuit. And then it was renamed to Google Cord. Oh my god. It was a messaging app packed in with Google Plus in 2011. Huh, a messaging service powered by everyone's least favorite social media site? Sure, I'll buy it. What kind of things can you do on it? You sure you don't want to talk about emoji support? At launch, Google Plus Messenger let you send text to a group. That's it. It also didn't work on desktop, only mobile, got no updates for 2 years, then it died. This is an F. Yes, the Google Docs editor chat counts in this list. Obviously, this is the most basic messenger service Google has ever made. So far. Look, the only really positive thing I can say about this one is convenience. Messaging right alongside a doc or presentation you're working on is great. I don't think I've ever used it more than just saying hi lol to a friend on a doc at 12 AM the night before an exam. It doesn't work on mobile, chat history doesn't save. Okay, who cares? It's on a bloody Google Doc, okay? I'm gonna give this one a D. Hey, have you tried out this new Google messaging app called Hangouts? It's so cool, it's so easy to start a chat with someone, even group chats. Hell, you can even SMS people. It's packed with features. Free voice calling, typing indicators, read receipts, stickers, GIFs, location sharing, syncing across all devices. And I mean every device. Even my Google glasses, I sure hope they succeed one day. Plus, video calls right in the app. Imagine in the future needing a separate video calling app to call someone. Geez, I sure hope Google continues to support Hangouts. I mean, it's the definitive messaging app. I don't know how you can even include more features. So Hangouts was released in 2013 after Google realized they had a problem. Users were getting confused with all these messaging apps. Android users just had way too many options to talk to people. So their solution? Make another messaging app. Hangouts lost its grip pretty quickly though, which is actually sad. I liked Hangouts, but carrier companies started getting upset like, oh, we don't want to use Hangouts as a default messaging app. Google made another standard SMS messaging app and made that the default instead. Since 2018, Hangouts has been losing features pretty quickly. It's 2022 now. Hangouts is going to die this year because it's in its transitioning phase with Google Chat. After all this, I'm still left wondering, what was wrong with Hangouts to stop developing it? Hangouts is getting an honorary S. Google Spaces kind of baffles me every time I remember it. Like, it was launched in 2016. It was an app solely for group chats, but with a difference. It was worse. It worked similar to a forum where, you could give a link to someone and then they could join it. You could send images, GIFs, links, you know the drill. Unfortunately, you couldn't remove people from these spaces. So if someone was spamming your home address and social security number to everyone, you kind of just had to jump ship. The only unique feature Spaces had was, get this, Google search was inbuilt with Spaces. This was because copying a link from your browser was too hard. I'm giving Spaces a B. It had functionality, but it didn't have a purpose, and Google shut it down not even a year after it launched. 8 months. It took Google 8 months to realize, why did we make this? Except they didn't ask that to themselves, because The same year, we got Allo, launching in September 2016. Now, controversial, but I'm a bit biased towards Allo. I actually really like this thing, because it was fun. I guess it was also kind of a clone of WhatsApp, but being able to message the Google Assistant during its early years made Allo way more interesting than any other of Google's messaging apps. You could play games with the assistant, get jokes and trivia, you know the rest, you're not stupid. You could change the size of text bubbles, you could get sticker packs, scribble on photos, change the background and color scheme of chats, send voice messages. There was just so much to play with here. But the problems were definitely there. For one, no one used the damn app, apart from me. Back in the day when I was using Allo, I had 2 contacts on there. Only 2 used it. No one wanted another damn messaging app. Overall, Allo had really cool ideas. It's a bit of a shame it never took off, but a lot of the features have been implemented into other Google messaging apps. But this begs another question. Why couldn't all of these features have been implemented into Hangouts? I'm still giving Allo an S though, because of everything it brought to the table. Finally, one more service that's still with us today. I spoke too soon. When it launched, Duo was the most basic video calling app you could find on the App Store. You could call people, that's it. Face sold separately. Nowadays, you can have video or voice calls with up to 12 people. It's very basic, but it nails everything it has. It was built to use as little data as possible, so it works in almost every network condition, so I'm gonna give it a B. This was another video calling service, this one released along Google Hangouts Chat in 2017, and it was aimed at organizations specifically. You can have up to a crazy 250 people join a call at once. I've used Meet before for study sessions with my friends, and I mean, it's good, but I sat there waiting for a call thinking, yeah, like, is it gonna ring? No, you have to click a link to join them. That's a little bit weird because Google is positioning Meet as a consumer-facing app now. It's not just for organizations, and unlike Hangouts, where it just rang you, this is gonna be a bit awkward for, you know, family calls where they have to click the link to join the call now. That's not really conventional or convenient. Meet's got some meat on it. Thank you. You can screen share, change your background, hold instant polls, create breakout rooms, bring up a sketchpad, mute your microphone. This is groundbreaking stuff. But Meet's looking to be a lot more than an app that a Google employee will shut down on his lunch break. It has a lot of potential. It wants to be the next Zoom, so I'm giving it an A. I think I used YouTube messages like twice before and never again. Just like the Google Docs chat, YouTube messages were only good for one thing, convenience. You know, you could send a funny haha video to your friend. Instead of copying and pasting a link and using another messaging app, oh, God forbid. Only 2 years after launch, YouTube messages shut down, probably because it was just completely unnecessary, but I'm giving it a C. Launched in 2018, Google Hangouts Chat was basically Google's clone of Slack. At first, it was aimed specifically at organizations, so working like a forum. Colleagues could create threads and other users could reply to them. You could use bots, @mention others and DM others, but not much more than that. It was way more basic than the twice as old Slack. Still had a lot of potential, so I'm giving this version a B. Now, this is where it gets confusing. If it wasn't already confusing enough, because Hangouts Chat was originally focused at organizations. Then at the end of 2018, Google released a statement discussing their intent to simplify their messaging platforms. Again, like in 2013 when they said that now Hangouts Chat is a consumer app built for everyone. The original Hangouts would transition into Google Chat, the renamed Google Hangouts Chat. The problem here is the naming scheme and the business model. The Google Chat, the once enterprise-specific platform, was a paid service through Google Workspace. Now it's free for all Google users. Continuing updates for Google Chat has made it one of their best messaging apps, getting features like smart replies, gift support, thank God. On desktop, Chat looks infinitely better than the really outdated Hangouts. That thing's just hanging on a thread at this point, but I actually really hope Google continues supporting Chat for at least a little bit longer. This one's getting an A. For a while, when viewing a business in Google Maps, there was a message button, and if you clicked it, it would simply take you to the default Messages app. Too easy. Yeah, Google thought so too. So in 2018, they overhauled the messaging feature and made a messaging interface within Google Maps. Yes, understandably, it's very basic. You can only get the option for texting here. No funny crazy frog gifts to send at an accounting firm on Google Maps, unfortunately. Gonna give Google Maps Messenger a C. Okay, now it's rapid fire round. Here we go. Google Photos Messages. Would you believe it supports sending pictures? B. Stadia Messages. C. With Google Pay Messages, you can threaten someone to send you money and then right then and there, send them a funny Minions gift. This one's getting a C. Finally, something new is going on here. This is Assistant Messages. I rolled out a voice-first messenger, which will broadcast your voice message to all the smart speakers within the home. It's like a group messaging app, but only one group, your family. It transcribes all your voice messages to text, which is pretty cool. You can view them on your phone instead of having to listen to them. Simple and actually useful, this one's a B. Leave it to Google to make a messaging app within the phone app. And no, I'm not talking about the standard texting app on your phone. I'm talking about a new messaging app within the phone app where you dial people. It only works when you dial specific numbers like businesses. So instead of taking you to the interface within Google Maps, Google said, screw that, let's make another one. Bam, Google Phone Messages. This is a brand new interface, which this is so stupid. You can send messages and images. This would be a C if it were actually necessary, but it just makes the whole messaging ecosystem so much more confusing for the consumer. If you texted a business at one point and you needed to bring up the exchange, you could be searching through at least 3 messaging apps to find that conversation. D. Introduced in 2019, Google Messages. I wonder what that could be. It's another damn messaging app, but this time a video calling button that uses an existing video calling app to make the video call instead of having a new interface in the Messages app. Yes, this is innovation. This is currently the default messenger on Android. It's got a nice UI, voice messages, desktop sync, emoji support. Oh, thank God. A. Well, there we have it. Google's 23, I think, communication apps ranked. What a beautiful sight. It really is. Here's the chart with only the apps that are still in development shown. So it seems for now Google might have calmed down with all these messaging apps, but they are very adamant to stick with just Meet and Chat, which makes it all the more confusing why they would make 4 messaging apps last year alone. But look, not all of these platforms are bad. Obviously, most of them have their purposes, even the ones that are built into Google apps. Think of all the things you could do within the milliseconds it takes you to switch from one app to another app. I know what Google would do in that time. Make another damn messaging app.